Hey, Maui. Nardis will be hit for copyright, I'm sure. So can't play anything they recognize. So can't play anything that'll be recognized. Hello, guys. So welcome. Now my chat box works. I didn't do anything to your chat box. I kind of forgot how to do the multicast since I haven't multicasted to YouTube in a in a week. So I'm like I'm like having to remember my procedures, and I forgot some of them. So a little bit of a coordination problem at the beginning. How are you doing, guys? And again, this is a broadcast being multicast on Braxme, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Hello, Great Gold. Hello, Summer North Bay. So we are being multicast on multiple platforms, courtesy of Brax.me. What a shame not to hear your repertoire. No, I can play it. I have a jam session on Tuesday, so you'll hear everything. I just have to do it when I'm not doing YouTube. So just I got the Earthquake app, but decided not to use it. Am I being paranoid? Multicast. Hey, Levendi. Yeah, so it's just there's quite a few steps to do. There's quite a few steps to do to coordinate this. You know, because of multiple devices and everything and multiple platforms. I don't really have to worry about Brax.me. Brax.me takes care of itself. So that's one thing that, I changed. And I will monitor the chat on Brax.me. I can monitor the chat on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, say hi. I can see you. If you're on Brax, I can see. I can't see your comments unless you make them on YouTube. I'm going to be testing out Debian and Ubuntu tomorrow. Any good advice? I don't know. What advice should I give? I use Ubuntu. I use Debian a lot, but as a server, not. I don't really use it for desktop. So, as a desktop, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't have the expertise to use it as a desktop. Okay, looks like I am on the Pirate channel on Hello Buttered Cream. I'm on the Pirate channel on Brax.me. So I can see you on YouTube. I can see you on Periscope. I can see you on Brax.me. Welcome all. Too many platforms. I like the GUI on Ubuntu. I don't use any GUI on any Linux. When I use Linux, I use a command line. I have no use for any GUI. If I'm going to use a GUI, then I'm going to go with Windows or a Mac. I don't really need to worry about that on Linux. On Linux, I just use the Zucking command line. It does the job. I was in LA the last 2 days. I thought about trying to meet, but didn't want to be weird. How are you doing, Mystic Diana? How are you doing? How are you doing? So I've been talking to you about a topic the last few weeks. And I may have to repeat the story because many of you may have forgotten it because it was before Christmas. Is using no GUI snobbish? I don't need a GUI for Linux. It's not important for what I use it for. So what do you like for desktop OS? I'm using all of them. I'm on Windows. I'm on Mac. And I'm on, and of course, all the mobile platforms. So I seldom ever use a GUI for Linux because it's not what it's for. I don't use Chrome Zucking Book. That's a bad one to use. I would not use that if I were you. Notice if you're using Chromebook, you can't set up a VPN. That alone. It's an indication that it's a problem. Okay? How do you turn location off on a Chromebook? So, hey, Keith. Hey, Donzo on Brax. Okay, so let me just tell you this little story because this is really related to what's happening that's been published on the New York Times about the city of Los Angeles suing the Weather Channel. I'm actually surprised they just focused on the Weather Channel, but the Weather Channel is apparently owned by IBM. And Remvasmos, how are you doing, Remvasmos? Or Greek God, or whatever you call yourself over there. Keith in Miami. Linux Ubuntu is a version that works on a Chromebook. Haven't used. Actually, yes, you can substitute Chrome. You can take off the Chromebook and put Linux in there, because Chrome is just the Chrome OS is just a version of Linux. So you can take a Chromebook and then reinstall it with Linux on it. It'll be just a cheap Linux computer. Your son you moved to Arizona? So you were passing by? Tell me on Brax. Tell me what happened. You don't talk to me on Brax, so I don't really know. Anyway, to kind of review this very, very important topic, that it's been so hard to explain this because I'm not sure if I'm really getting through. I'm not sure if I'm really getting through. And so it's really been bothering me about trying to explain this. So I will again explain to you what we read in the news some weeks ago. In the news, they said that an investment company was hired a data mining company. An investment company hired a data mining company to check on the employees of Tesla. And to use whatever technological means they have to find out the ebb and flow of people in Tesla, in the Tesla office. And what this really means is they wanted to track how many people were at Tesla, so they know if they are going to increase employees to meet the production goal that they had to produce more Model 3s, I believe, because they told the during a quarterly meeting, quarterly earnings broadcast announcement, they said that they were going to ramp up, but some investors, I guess, didn't believe that, so they said, well, are you really going to ramp up? So this investment company said, okay, let's find out for ourselves independently if they are in fact going to ramp up production. So what they did was they hired this data mining company to check the Tesla employee population over a period of time, and they found that Tesla in fact increased their employees 30%. The question is, how did they increase the employees 30%? That's a problem that you need to really think about here. What happened was they used location tracking. They used location tracking on all of the people who work at Tesla. They basically said, who are the people at Tesla based on their phones? And then they counted them. They're able to isolate individual people. So they know actually how many people are on there, including tracking those people as they leave Tesla. So they could actually say, where do the people at Tesla live? They could do that. But what they did was just say, over time, let's track them, multiple times a day over a period of a quarter to see if the number of people at Tesla increased. And it did increase 30%. And based on that, I'm sure they made big bucks in the stock market because the stock of Tesla went up 10% during the quarterly earnings announcement. Okay, which means they could have put in, based on the information they had, they could have put in some call options, which would leverage their money. So they just can put in a small amount, like $1 million, and could make, $100 million. Just to give you an idea. So basically, somebody was able to use the data that's available apparently to all who can pay for it, your data, and use it against you, because this is the way the stock market works. If somebody makes money, somebody loses money. It's it's not a win for all. Okay, it's If anyone's cheating in the stock market, and this is, in theory, one could say that there's nothing that's cheating about this. They got the data not from insider information. Then in theory, then they can justify this as legit. In which case, they just made money that you didn't make. Your investment. Your investments, your 401k or whatever, did not make as much money because people like this are utilizing this data and you don't have access to it. Now, here's kind of the part that we don't actually understand. There are many mining companies that do this. And we're going to go into the detail of what this all means. There are many data mining companies. One of the biggest ones is called Palantir. And guess who the biggest clients are of Palantir? The biggest clients of Palantir people are the financial firms. In fact, one of the biggest known published clients of Palantir is J.P. Morgan. So they were using the data. They're weaponizing the data to analyze it to see how they can manipulate their investments. So they're having access to data that you don't, because you don't realize it, because many of you come into MyScope and say, we don't really care that our data is being stolen. How does it impact me? Well, forget about having it impact you personally for the moment. What's happening is it's like somebody taking a tax off each one of you and putting it into their pockets. It's like saying, okay, well, I got the information you don't, therefore I take $1 from each and every American and put in my pocket. $1 that you could have gotten is now not in your pocket, and you're going to say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just $1. Okay, then with this kind of logic, we're making these kinds of people rich. We're making these kinds of people rich. Now, it's not illegal. That's the problem. It is not illegal. Hey, Donovan, what happened to your, is that a different Donovan, or is that a different Donovan on Brax, or the other Donovan? There's a couple of Donovans. Is it legal for investment? Yes, there's nothing illegal for them. This is not illegal because it's not insider information. The point of the matter is they have the money to get this kind of data. We don't. As average people, how does Zuck do you go, make a decision in the stock market when you don't have this kind of info? How do you do it? Is that fair to all of us? So basically, the people who got this info about Tesla could have whispered it to people that they like, maybe politicians, that say, hey, why don't you invest in Tesla before the quarterly earnings? Yes, average people equals Zuck. Exactly, Emma. And the problem that we have is that the average person is saying, I don't really care that you're stealing my data. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt me. Well, let me just make sure you understand now what the hello EJ, hello Mario. Let me just put this into kind of a personal perspective, okay? What they found out is how they did this to Tesla is how they did this to get the research on Tesla was that they tracked the people who work at Tesla via apps. As it turns out, and I have all the details now of this, as it turns out, they said that they get the data on your location from 1,000 apps. So they get the data about your location from 1,000 apps. This is not the same thing, just to make sure you understand. Apple is taking your data. Apple is taking your location data. They're doing it probably every few seconds. They're constantly taking your data position. Google is doing the same thing. I've told you about this for years. This is nothing new. They have this data. What is scaring me is if they release the data, they can obviously share with the government. They can say all the places where have you been? Where have you been? In the last year, and track all the locations. Could they share this with law enforcement? Yes, they could. And I was not as worried about. I'm worried about that because that's a privacy issue. But I wasn't worried about that because it wasn't apparent that Google and Apple were freely sharing that information. Okay? Now, hey, the Bears Rock. So anyway, what is very, very interesting here is that this 1,000 apps are not directly stealing your data. In fact, I'm not sure about this lawsuit, the Weather Channel lawsuit, the Los Angeles, City of Los Angeles suing the Weather Channel. I don't know about this lawsuit because from my research, it's actually indirect. What's happening, guys, is that the Weather Channel and a lot of apps on your phone, again, the number given in one of the press releases from weeks ago was that there were 1,000 apps, and the 1,000 apps are aggregating the location data. According to the the New York Times, the location is so refined that they are able to capture 14,000 or 1,400. I forget the number. If it's 14,000 or 1,400, let's just say it's 1,400. 1,400 points of data of location in a single day. In a single day, they check you out 1,400 times, which is every few seconds, to see where you are, and then store that into a database. Now, as far as I know, I could be wrong because a lot of this is a bit of guesswork here. As far as I know, the way this was done is by utilizing the ads. Every one of those apps have a little ad. It's called they have an ad ID. Each phone has a little ad ID, and then that can actually personalize the data to your device. They actually assign a number to your device so they can identify you as you move around. Okay? Okay, so they can, I'm sure they can get information on anyone's movements if they subpoena the Apple and Google. Yes, they can get that information very quickly. But this is a little bit different because these are third parties. They're not the ones actively collecting the location every few seconds. It's the apps. And here's the worst part. The ads in those apps are collecting the data, aggregating them, and they are deciding now to sell it. So I looked around on the internet, and yes, you can find out location data. The kind of data that I've been worried about for a long time, which I will make a YouTube video on. This is one of the I'm going to be making YouTube videos, and this is one of the ones I'm going to work on first. It's called reverse IP lookup. Reverse IP lookup is what I'm going to work on. And reverse IP lookup, IP lookup is not in theory, it's not such a scary thing because you go on the internet and you use IP lookup tools on the internet, and you will find yourself within a city. And you think, all you have to do is find yourself within a city, and that's not refined enough, so you're not too worried about that. Okay? No, whois is for domains. Whois is for domains. IP location. There are many, many websites that do IP location. To give you the IP locations, but they're actually based on who owns the IP. So, let's say that Comcast owns your IP. What they'll give is the address of Comcast. They won't give your address. They'll give the address of Comcast. So for most people, you say, oh, okay, well, it's not that dangerous. It's not a problem. So IP lookup for the average person is not a big deal. And here's the mistake, because you think that's the only thing available to us hackers, data mining experts, and so on. People like me have access to even more than that. So I can actually find out your location within 6 feet. If I have an IP address, I can find out your location within 6 feet. And as it turns out, and I'm going to talk about this in a future broadcast, as it turns out, I thought that the software was in the OS. I thought the software for geolocation to this exactness that I was talking about, it was built into the OS, meaning part of iOS and part of Android and part of Chrome. And as it turns out, it's not. As it turns out, the location controlling, or the location software, is actually built into the chip as firmware. One of the companies that has this chip is Broadcom, and every Apple device, a lot of these modern devices that use Broadcom, have built-in location sensors using Wi-Fi triangulation. If they're not using the Broadcom one, they're using some other ones, because there are other ones that are similar. The Google may have its own logic. The one that Broadcom uses and the one that Apple uses. Hello, Moonchild. Happy New Year, Moonchild. So the one that Broadcom uses, which is the same one that's in your Apple device, was actually made by Skyhook Wireless. They're the ones to make the location data, the location logic for triangulation. That's one of the ways that they've determined that. Google has its own logic, which is very similar, and probably the one that actually is the precursor to the Skyhook Wireless one. So Google has its own, and if what I'm hearing is correct, then I don't know if it's built into Android or built into the Apple hardware. So in the case of Apple, it's built into the hardware. In case of Google, it could be built into software, perhaps in the OS. Okay? Don't know for sure. Don't know for sure. This is the kind of stuff that it's a chip level. We don't really know. The point is that this device will track your location no matter what. There's actually no way to stop it. There's no switch. This is not part of airport mode, it's not part of that. It's an independent little chip that just goes out there and searches for Wi-Fi. Hey, Scott, if it's on, it's always on. You can't turn it off. If the device is powered, then you can assume it's doing it. Okay? Now, I've indicated how your device is tracking you, not by GPS, but more advanced technologies like Wi-Fi triangulation that was actually put into every device probably since 2010. It's my guess. They developed it in 2000. They developed it in 2007 or so, at least like when it was heavily used commercially, 2007, and then by 2010, I don't think there's any device that doesn't have any kind of location tracking the way I'm telling you. So all these devices have it. We are lacking viewers here, so I'm gonna get the aid of our squash. I'm gonna get the aid of the squash, okay? Because we're not getting the numbers here. So here they come. Here they come. It's guaranteed. You love your vegetables, Mario. Guaranteed. They always come. Nobody's making a comment on YouTube, though. It's very interesting. Is no one on YouTube? YouTube? Nobody on YouTube? So anyway, these companies that are taking the location data, this is how it works. They put an ad out in 1,000 apps, and of course they monetize and pay the app companies money to put an ad in it. And this is how the Weather Channel, is able to be utilized and be able to give you their weather service for free. So you're using the Weather Channel on your phone, and to you it's no big deal, but the Weather Channel phone is tracking your location thousands of times a day. Thousands of times a day. Okay? And then that goes to the company that is mining, that is the ad company, and the ad company then usually sells that information, location, to determine what ad to place on the Weather Channel. As it turns out, they found out a bigger way to make money. Why do we need to make money from the ads that we put on your phone? Why don't we just track where you are and just sell that? And we're not talking about any restricted kind of selling here. We're apparently talking about something that is sold, to anyone with money. Now, here's the thing that is interesting for you. I was talking about reverse IP lookup. Reverse IP lookup. As it turns out, reverse IP lookup, you can buy that database from different companies. Like Skyhook Wireless, which is the one that invented one of the competitors of Google when it comes to location data. You can buy those databases for a few $1,000 a year, a couple thousand, $2,000 to $4,000 will get you access to reverse IP lookup of anyone in the world. So if you want to go track locations, you can take their IP address, reverse it, and you will find out their location or a series of location, and one of those locations are bound to be your Zucking home. That means if you get an email, and I told you that your email shows your IP address, all you do is you go to the email that somebody sent to you, take their IP address from the email, plug it into this kind of database, and there you will find out where they actually live. Okay, this is very, very sad because people are saying, we don't really care. We don't really care about this. This is not important. We don't really, I missed a comment on YouTube there. We don't really, I looked up and I saw there was a comment on YouTube. We don't really care that people are taking this data. Now, think about what I just said here. The implications of this. That means that anyone can now buy SS-Doc's location. If they have some identifier that relates to SS-Docs, such as an IP address, they can say, could you tell me where SS-Doc has been? Can you tell me where this SS-Doc has been? And then and give me a location over a period of a year, and track every change in location. I know you track location, thousands of times a day, but I just need a few points to see if he leaves. So now that's actually available commercially. Of course, all phones have an IP address. That's why you should use a VPN. This is the data on your Angel. The data on your phone location is not sold in real time. It's meant to look back historically. You figure there's some delay before they actually put it into a database. Maybe it's a monthly database. I don't know. So maybe they sell it every month. So you buy it every month, and then you can say, okay, I want to know where Angel's been, all the locations. Aha, Angel's been in California recently. And then I see Angel went back to Hawaii. This is not connected to Apple ID. This is not an Apple ID thing. There's an it's called the advertising identifier. Your phone has an advertising identifier, and that is not connected to your Apple ID directly. At least it's not available to the person tracking you. What they have is a Apple identifier a advertising identifier that relates to the ad, and that allows them to track your device. Greetings, you are here, full gamut. Omni. There are apps for phone VPNs. You don't need a phone VPN. You use my VPN, bytesvpn.com. You think they'd use it to find missing persons. So anyway, this is like really, it's disgusting when you actually start to think about it, and yet the people from the young people are looking at this and saying, "Who cares? So what if you omnipotent slim?" No, I actually I don't. Did you change information? Is this the same old information as before? They couldn't find Jesse Galganov. I don't know who Jesse Galganov is. Maybe he didn't have a phone. Or maybe it wasn't in recent time when we have our phones. So this is a very deadly device now, these phones. Very deadly device. So we built in spying to the point of, announcing to the world where we've been at any point in time. Now let me tell you, it's not a direct connect to your identity when they track your phone. You have to take a couple steps, and this is the only thing we can defend against. We cannot defend against the fact that our phone is tracking whoever's holding the phone. You can't defend against that because it's built into the chip. This is the amazing technology we have. We just love this. It's just good tech. So this exciting tech. Look at this. Every one of you goes to the store and you say, "Oh, it's time to get a device for Christmas," and you jump up and down as you try out your new Amazon Echo. Does there exist a phone that doesn't use Wi-Fi? Yeah, the old phones don't use Wi-Fi, but a lot of them don't use LTE. I'm telling you, there will be a market for phones without anything on it, without location chips. The location chips need Wi-Fi. If there's no Wi-Fi, the logic for the Skyhook wireless Broadcom chip isn't going to do anything. You have to have Wi-Fi because part of the logic is based on Wi-Fi. Time to get a new phone and get your old phone is getting tracked. Jamberry, how are you doing, Jamberry? Your old phone is being tracked. This is not. I told you since 2010. So that means every iPhone is being tracked. I don't know if it's on the first iPhone, but certainly every iPhone after that is being tracked. Whenever they started Find My Phone, then you got it. Whenever they started Find My Phone, that's when they included the tech. Don't old flip phones have those chips in them too, powered wirelessly through RF or IR? The old phones track your location by cell tower, and then the next generation tracked your location by cell tower and GPS, and then in 2010 or so, then they mass commercialized Wi-Fi triangulation as the primary way of tracking you, followed by GPS, followed by cell tower. Now, again, you have to understand why they did this. Cell tower tracking is not very exact. It gives you kind of a rough zone. It will find you inside a cell zone, so it could be a fairly big area. Then they went to GPS. The problem with the GPS is not only is it not precise. I mean, a GPS can find your location within 100 and some feet, but the problem is you have to be within a satellite range of 3 satellites. If you don't find 3 satellites, it doesn't work. So most of the time, the GPS doesn't actually find you when you're inside your house. So if you're inside a house, the GPS doesn't work. So they say, well, we can't have that. We can't have that. We got to find a way to track people in this world, and we need to track them all the time. And the way we track them is by using Wi-Fi triangulation. So Wi-Fi triangulation is used by Google. Apple bought a company that was utilizing this, and apparently what they were utilizing is some logic that was made by Skyhook Wireless, which apparently again is included in Broadcom chips. And then Skyhook Wireless, the way they do the actual location tracking, so you understand how this works. The way Skyhook Wireless does the Wi-Fi tracking is they drove around every city in the world using the same logic as your Google car, and they actually listened for Wi-Fi's on every Zucking block, and they start first in the U.S. and then in other countries. So they went around and said, okay, here's the little Skyhook Wireless car. Let me find all the Wi-Fi's around me, measure the signal strength, move the car to the next block, measure the signal strength, move the car to the left, to the right, as long as I find the Wi-Fi's, and the Wi-Fi should go down in signal as I move away. And they put this into a database that said, oh, okay, the Wi-Fi's that are lowering in signal you're moving away from it, and as you're getting close to it, you're approaching it. And by going around the streets where Wi-Fi's are, then you kind of you can match it to GPS locations, and you can triangulate the position of every access point. So basically, every access point in existence has been mapped. And when you buy an access point, Wi-Fi access point from the store, if you bought one for Christmas and you installed it, well, guess what? Within a short amount of time, that will now be registered with its location to Apple, Google, and so on. So that's how Skyhook Wireless did this originally. Now, what happened now is Google said, well, we don't want to do it the old-fashioned way, which was to send out our Google cars to go out and track every Wi-Fi in the world. It's too slow. So what they did is they used Android. So what Google did is they said, okay, let's use Android to spy on every Wi-Fi. So they put the code that those Google cars had and put on the Wi-Fi, and they actually created an API, which I can show you, but I don't have it on this computer. An API from Google that shows how you send them the signal strength and the Wi-Fi's around you, and then they put that into a database, and they can mathematically then get the location of the Wi-Fi. So as you're moving your computers around, it's sensing all the Wi-Fi access points near you. And because the locations of the Wi-Fi access points are already known, it's a simple matter then to deduce your location based on where you are related to the Wi-Fi position. They need only 2 Wi-Fis to position you. 2. Not 3, 2. So if you're close to any Wi-Fi, they can position you based on 2. Well, if I look at my computer on here and I look at how many Wi-Fis I have in my area, it will turn out to be approximately 2 dozen. 2 dozen within range of this. So no matter what I do, even if I turn my own Wi-Fi off, my position will be identified based on my neighbor's Wi-Fi. How do they access that? Routers lie. Routers are changed often. This guy is like imagining things. Routers are changed often. What did I just say? If you're walking around with an Android, your Android will sense the new Zucking router, get the Zucking location, and send it to Google. So now they have an updated, crowdsourced, verified location of every Zucking Wi-Fi router. You cannot turn your Wi-Fi off. It's a chip. So who's the idiot that says, oh yeah, the Wi-Fi routers are changed? Zuck you! What an idiotic statement, truly. No airplane mode. No, airplane mode has nothing to do with that. Airplane mode is about sending a Wi-Fi signal, not receiving it. Wi-Fi triangulation is passive. It's based on just receiving data. It's not about sending it. It's passive. You don't turn that off. If you go to your device and you look at the list of Wi-Fis, do the list of Wi-Fi show up? That's what I'm talking about. That is called promiscuous mode. Okay, so go to your phone and go to the list of Wi-Fis. See if Wi-Fi show up. That's what's being used. Because if you actually have an app, you can run an app. One of them is called Wi-Fi Analyzer on a PC. There's another version. What's the version on a Mac? There's a version on an iPhone. If you run these kinds of apps, it will tell you the MAC address of all the Wi-Fis near you. The list Wi-Fi cannot be turned off. There's no off switch for that. I told you what Wi-Fi, when you turn your Wi-Fi off, you're saying do not connect to a Wi-Fi. It has nothing to do with getting the signal of who the Wi-Fis are around you. It's not connected. Two separate processes. What if I wrap it in aluminum foil? There you go. Yeah, that'll work. If you can use your phone like that. Yeah, wrap your head in a tinfoil hat and say, yeah, if my location is being tracked, it must be a tinfoil hat thing. Well, guys, this is not a joke anymore. When somebody somebody's actually now vindicating me, and in this case, can't believe that the city of Los Angeles actually suing the Weather Channel, because the Weather Channel is using these advertising companies to get your locations using the technique I just mentioned, and it's able to get your location thousands of times a day, and record it and sell it. So this is the idea of the lawsuit. They're saying, well, yes, you may have given permission. You may have given permission to share your location with the Weather Channel, because of course you want to know the weather where you are. How did that translate to, hey, if you want to know the weather, we are going to track every move you make for the rest of your life? That's the basis of the lawsuit. They're saying it's not a balanced exchange. For weather information, does that equate to tracking your precise movement several thousand times a day? If you're the Weather Channel, isn't it enough to get the city and that's it? Oh no, they got to go track your location thousands of times a day. That is the basis of the lawsuit. It's quite crazy. Yes, they are worse. They are a lot worse. Yes, McFly. I've been warning you about this, and I've been warning you the seriousness of this, and it's a lot more serious than you think, because now basically every human has been tracked with large databases of locations, and they know everywhere you've been. Now, some of you will say, well, who cares? I mean, I don't go anywhere. Who cares? I don't go anywhere. So you'll find me, just hanging out at my house most of the time. Okay, people, this is where you need to have some idea of data mining and what data mining tells you. One, you have to look at it in two viewpoints. One is, what does it tell us about a population? Not about you specifically, but about a population. For example, what does it tell us about who lives where you are? That can be used to ascertain your wealth. You live in a nice part of town. You live in a poor part of town. They will now use that for demographics and say, okay, we've isolated you and profiled you to be rich. Okay, that means we're gonna pound you with scams, since you're a good target, because you're in a rich area. So let's pound you with scams so we can get money from you. Now, that to you, that's not personal. They can also say, okay, you live in an area that voted 70% Democrat. Okay, that's my area here. 70% of the people here voted for Clinton at the last election. So that's my area. It's very California, right? So you can use that again to profile, somebody politically. Stop. That is not a personal kind of tracking. Let's go personal now. Let's go personal. Okay. Where do you go every Sunday? Do you go to church? Which church do you go to? Do you go to work every day? Where do you go to work every day? How do you get to work every day? Do you ride public transportation? Do you ride your car? Do you park in a private parking lot? What time do you leave in the morning? Where does your kids go to school? Do you go to school? Do you go to the doctor? Which doctor? What kind of doctor? Do you go to a Alcoholics Anonymous meeting? When? I do this jam session. It happens to be at the same time that there's an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. So I'm like saying to myself, if I'm being tracked, they might say, are you going to an Alcoholic Anonymous meeting or a jam session? Because we're in the same location. They're only a few feet away. I just say you have no nose, leave phone at home. So here we have a case where the tracking can be used to profile you in ways I can profile people with precision to know a lot about you just from your location, what market you go to, what type of market you go to. So when my phone tells me, oh, you are 300 feet from your parked car, and people are saying, wow, smart Zucking phone. How does it know that my car is 300 feet away? And you think that's a good thing. I look at that and say, Zuck, you phone. How does Zuck, you're a real disappointment to your sponsor. How does Zuck do you know that I parked my Zucking car? How is it that I pick up my phone and it says, you are 3 minutes to your destination? And I said, who the Zuck told you my destination? How did you know my destination? This is crazy. So you go to your oncologist because you have cancer, and it doesn't take much tech to buy the location data from this location company and say, give me all the people that show up at the locations of these oncology clinics. And you list all the oncology clinics in the country and say, okay, who goes to the oncology clinics? Therefore, we have all the people with cancer. Unless they're there every day, they must work there. If they only come every so often, that they must not work there, they must have cancer. Insurance companies, yes. Think of how precise that is. I mean, just the fact that you could be a terrorist and say, I want to find out all the Jews that go to this synagogue. I mean, the data can be used in such evil ways, I can't even tell you. This is the kind of precision that is just boggles the mind, and then the data mining that occurs at this level, and we don't respond to this, and we say, oh, this is not a big deal. We don't really care. This is not that important. And it just shocks me. It shocks me completely. So I am very, very worried about this kind of data collection, and the fact that I thought that it would take a bit more effort for this kind of data to leak out and to be sold to the what are called social media aggregators. So just so you understand what's happening now is that your social media data, including stuff that you type here on social media like Periscope and Twitter and Facebook, mostly on Facebook, that most of those data points have been exported out and sold to companies that provide location, social media data on each and every one of you. One of those companies is, as an example, is Spokio. Another one is Intellius. These are like the big ones. People Finders, BeenVerified.com, on and on and on. There's like a ton of them. These companies will actually sell your information. Now that they know that there's a source for location data, now they have to say, okay, we'll go buy that location data as well and merge it with the rest of the information we have. Now, this is our only defense, guys. How do you prevent your data from being misused like that? Listen to me, because this is very important, because, I don't know how to defend against this. It's kind of too late now. I mean, the real answer would have been to dump all these phones 10 years ago. So how do you prevent them from tracking you? Well, what you need to do is do not assign an identity to your phone app identity that will match the location to something that can be found on social media. One of the ways that they will match you are a couple of ways, and I'm going to tell you the ways that you're going to be tracked. One of the ways is by IP address. Now, I can't believe that at this point that many people don't know what an IP address is, but apparently that is the case. So you don't know what an IP address is. Okay. So anytime that little ad in the Weather Channel, so the Weather Channel has a little ad on there, and that Weather Channel is actually receiving information about your location and then sending it to the Weather Channel, they have now assigned an ID to your phone. The phone ID is matched to the advertising identifier. What do they call it? The identifier, DEA something. I forget the exact acronym for the identifier. But the identifier is this phone. Now, they don't know who that is until they go check it against something else. One of the ways they check against that is they check it against an IP address. So if they store your IP address, they check the identifier. Now they have a matching data point. They said, okay, so what are all the IP addresses for this identifier? Then they will know all the IP addresses you've been to if you've been leaving your house on your phone. And they will find out one of those is a DSL line, in which case they know that, and you're there all the time. So especially during sleeping hours, and they'll say, okay, that's where you live. T. Louise, Happy New Year. So what we want to prevent is for them to make connections between data points so they can actually match them. One of the other ways they match you is by email address. Email address. So I've told you this many, many times, and you got to pay attention to me. Don't put your real name in an email address. Don't put your real name in social media. If you're going to have social media with a real name, treat it separately from everything else you do without a real name. And you do this so that the data collected on you doesn't have anything that matches. So they get an isolated data point. They don't know who it is. Yes, they may know somebody lives at this address, but they don't know exactly what you're doing. Yes, they can go find out who you are based on your location, based on public records. So in a way, you're zucked anyway, the moment they find a location. But you don't want to make it easy for the data mining companies, because some of these data mining companies don't have that. So what you want to do is prevent that from happening. There's a couple things. Please repeat that. Can't we connect a Tor router to our smartphone? Yes, you can, using my Bytes VPN. If you have a Bytes VPN subscription from me, you can switch your phone to Tor. Okay, let me repeat that again. Although we cannot stop our devices from tracking our location and from them collecting locations, They don't necessarily know who you are. They need some more data points. They don't know who you are. They know it's somebody with this advertising identifier, and you're walking around. The advertising identifier is also tied to browser fingerprinting. Okay, well, it's not 100% Maui because there's other ways to get at the information. That's why it's kind of, maybe it's too late, but we got to do our best here because I just am not willing to go share this. Does a blind society with guns save them? Does a blind society with guns save them? I don't know what the Zuck you're talking about, Mike. So anyway, we need to break the connected data that will connect it to other things that we do in social media. We got to break the system here. Okay? So how do you break it? Well, don't give them a match to an IP address, because once they know your IP address, they can now sell this IP address and location match and sell that to the company that's doing reverse IP lookup, which they are. Okay, so the less your IP address is seen on the internet, there's the less chances of that being seen. So that's why I have to be 100% certain that everyone in my household is never showing the actual IP address that we have. It's always a VPN. It can be individualized. Escrow and Fox, Scott, you know that. You want to stop it from getting individualized. You want to prevent them from individualizing it, as Angel says, by breaking the index. Unfortunately, it's getting more and more difficult to do. Resetting your IP doesn't do anything. If you're not on a VPN, what does resetting your IP do? You need to have a VPN that's not yours. If the VPN is yours, it doesn't matter that you reset the IP. They'll both connect to you. I'm saying by working to break the connection. Yeah, if you break the connection, you are promoting the fight for keeping the data from being individualized. Yes. If I knew how, hey, it's getting more difficult. I'm telling you, some of the techniques that I'm using are breaking down, and it's really bothering me because it's like I don't have a solution for some of this. I don't have a solution for some of this, so it's disturbing. So the advertising companies tracking you on the phone. Well, you have some sort of ammunition against that. And again, I'll repeat this for you, that I've told you this. I told you before. You need to go to your phone settings, and let me see if I can display the screen here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna find the actual page. So you on your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, because the iPhone has a specific setting for this that you can disable that prevents this kind of ad company, the one that we are discussing with the Weather Channel, from interfering with collecting the location data. So let me find out the actual iPhone screen here. And then I'll show you in a moment. Hold on a second. Just got to make sure that I got Android. You go to every app and turn off the location individually, but Apple has a new thing that actually allowed location to go to the ad company. Okay, which I did not expect. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. So okay, so there's the system services. Okay, I'm going to tell you how to get here. So from your phone, this is for those with iPhones. You go to settings, and then you select privacy, settings, privacy, location services. And then from location services, you go to the bottom and you will see system services and you see the screen. So there's 4 clicks in there. Okay. Settings, privacy, location services, and then system services. Now, the one you need to worry about is the 3 here. Location-based alerts, location-based Apple ads, location-based suggestions. That's what's sneaking up on those with iPhones. Those need to be turned off. I don't know when they start appearing on an iPhone. I didn't notice them before. That's what these Weather Channel ads are using. Okay, so you need to turn those off. You also need to go to each app and turn off location. Yeah, turn them off. You go to each app and say, do I really need location for each app? So you go to the Weather Channel app, turn off location to never. And it should remember the last location you used, so it doesn't matter. How many times are you going to change location for the Weather Channel? Come on. You know the city. How much more do you need? Do you need a weather forecast to the street level? So go to each one of these apps and figure out which ones need to have location, and hopefully not very many. Okay, now the other ones that so on Android there's no similar setting. Just do it by individual app. Just do it for individual app. On Android there's another setting. On Android there's another setting. Let me see if I can find it here. That actually turns off the detection of Wi-Fi's. Let me see if I can find it. It's not on this here. Is it in security? See, the thing about, Android is every version is so different. You can't actually, it's so difficult to compare because you're having different versions, and each version, there it is. So on on my Android there's a setting called location. Okay, on Android there's a setting, it's called location, and if I go click on that and I click on the 3 dots on the right, there's an option called scanning, Wi-Fi scanning. Turn that off. So on Android, settings, location, Wi-Fi scanning, turn that off. So that's how we fight back, is we just gotta make sure, make this little changes in our life to make sure that somebody at Google and Apple are aware that we are concerned, because the less concerned we are, they can see we're not concerned, then they're not going to build anything to protect each and every one of us. Go to each and every app and give app permissions for location by app. For example, my app, Brax.me, does not need location. So you can turn that off. It doesn't have any purpose to know what the location is. One of the worst things that you can do is give location to your camera. Let me tell you what happens when you give your camera lights to location. When you take a photo, it will insert the location in the photo as EXIF metadata, EXIF. So let's say you're going to upload that photo to Facebook. Your photo information includes location data, precise to 6 feet, is now uploaded to Facebook. Facebook now sees that and then takes that data and then stores it and then removes it from the photo that's displayed in the album so that you're not aware that they took it. So they've taken out that EXIF data and now they can store the location in a separate area. On every weather app, you have settings play with the home default. Okay, so weather apps are not the only app suspect here. Let me warn you about these companies that are likely making money off your data. I'm always wondering, how does Craigslist make money? Craigslist requires location data. Yelp requires location data. If I turn on a VPN, Craigslist and Yelp scream. They said, Zuck, we don't want to give you access to our app when you use a VPN, which tells me there's something fishy going on. Therefore, I'm going to say that any of those apps that are being very pushy about location must have some benefit to getting the exact location in every move you make. So it's not enough that they get location. They got to get a location every single zucking second. Explain that to me. Why do they need your exact location and Craigslist, Angel? And ban VPNs. Why? Because we already know this is no longer a mystery, because it's, this has already been reported. You just now become suspicious about every app. Every app that has a requirement for location, every app that has advertising are all suspect. They're all suspect. If you're not paying for the app, chances are they're making money some other way. Okay, they're monetizing in some other way. So how are they monetizing it? So if an app, like an example, if somebody offers you a free VPN, no, you can use Brax. Brax is a safe app. It's for your security. I actually complained to Crate and Barrel. I went to their website. I was buying something from Crate and Barrel, and they gave me a hard time and was giving me captcha codes constantly because I was using a VPN, my VPN. And it was very, very upsetting. So I wrote them a nasty note saying, Zuck, you mother zuckers. What justifies, you blocking me and doing all this because I have a VPN? I did the same thing to AT&T, and then I left AT&T. Okay, any company that does this to me, I'm not going to go support. So Crate and Barrel, zucked up. All these companies. Now, it's a little bit different with video companies like Amazon Video, Netflix, and all that. They are required by contract to determine what country you're in, because they need to satisfy copyright restrictions for, related to who gets to see a video. So I'm at T-Mobile now. Besides, John Leger has been very nice to me here on Periscope. So use Apple TV, doesn't require location. Apple already knows your location. Why would Apple TV need to care about your location? Apple knows where you are every single fucking second. It's called Find My Phone. They sent me a letter saying that they passed my comment on to other people. I don't know if it'll make any difference, but just goes to show that somebody makes these decisions. Maybe somebody in tech makes a decision, and somebody stupid in tech makes a decision. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're in tech, don't block customers on VPNs. Most stupid thing I've ever heard of. Don't block customers who are on Tor. They're imagining if you're using Tor, then you must be a Zucking criminal. That you're a hacker. It's like, what the Zuck? Especially with me talking about this, protect yourself, use a VPN constantly. It's scary when you see the kind of data being stolen from each and every one of us. We have no choice now but to use a VPN all the time. Fox, block your VPN so you dump the app. I don't have that app, so I'm not going to use it. Stop using apps that require location. Now, Brax.me requires your camera rights, because if it doesn't have camera rights, it can't take your pictures, because you're supposed to load pictures from your phone. It's not going to go turn your camera on. It needs it to get your pictures to store it into Brax. Brax.me, for example, just think about what I do for you guys. And I don't, and most of you don't even use it. You don't even utilize it. Brax.me has a photo library that strips off the location data. If you store your photos from your phone and transfer it to the cloud to Brax.me, what would happen is your photos will have location data stripped off. Then if you send it to any other, if you download it back to send it to Instagram or whatever, it's not going to have any location data. Well, I dumped AT&T. By the way, their website sucks too. Website is like, for such a big company, can't you have a website that works? Yes, I know that Huawei sends information to China. Yeah, you need to. Brax.me is an example. I made this app, a way to protect you by allowing you to do normal social media things, but take out all the danger by not requiring you to, put your location in, by being careful about how an email is used if you want to give it, by being careful about how a phone is used if you want to give it. It's all optional. By not tracking your IP address and so on. I do all these precautions to make it safer for you. Nobody else does that. Brax.me is the only app that actually said, okay, we actually want to be concerned about that. So we don't have a lot of defense here left. I mean, every avenue. I actually thought we would have more time to defend ourselves against these apps, but at the moment, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, and that's for Apple and Google to release their location info. That would really be zucked up, because Apple and Google basically know everything. Since you've ever had a phone, they know every move you've made. It's crazy. They can basically do things like this. They can manipulate the stock market. Just to give you an example, if you know how people move, especially important people. Let's say you had a location history on every single Zucking CEO, and put that into the hands of a data miner to see if they can see some data that they can collect from the way CEOs fly around multiple places. A CEO isn't going to fly around to a different location because they can use a phone. If they're going to fly around somewhere, it's going to be for a more important reason. So if you're going to go track the CEO's whereabouts and track every CEO's whereabouts, and now you can do this. Track anytime two CEOs meet. Let's say you track the movements of, a million companies, CEOs, and then you see who meets. And then track lawyers, corporate lawyers, lawyers dealing with M&A, mergers and acquisitions. Wow. Wow, you can start, playing the stock market here. So whoever has this information, somebody at Google and Apple has this. That means they can manipulate us. Again, what I told you is this is not a win-win situation. If somebody wins in the stock market, somebody loses. Somebody gets a higher price, somebody else will not be able to get that price because, the buyer is gone. Okay, so if you actually go around and say, find out every, location of every lawyer for any purpose, Kelp. But specifically, I'm talking about how you can manipulate the stock market with data mining based on M&A lawyers and M&A and then CEOs. So if an M&A, or do it like this, if an M&A lawyer sees some CEO or visits some office, then you go make that connection. Now you go track if they go someplace else. I delete that SS doc. Google allows you to delete that in activity control. And my goodness, if you, I don't know if they actually delete it or just remove it from your view. But that should alert you. Now, can that delete everything? No, because those third-party apps got your location and they did not go through Google. Anyway, this is my plan. I'm going to start to educate you all more by making shorter YouTube videos that will isolate these topics into a more precise way so you can listen for, a few minutes and get the gist of what I'm trying to say with each one, instead of these, long stories about this with a lot of people's comments. So location will be one of the first things I'm going to do. Probably several on location. And because there's a lot to learn about this, and it can be, people just come into my scope for a few seconds and they may not actually, get all the information. So this is what I suggest. Please follow me on YouTube. If you're not following me on YouTube, please do. I'm Rob Braxman on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Rob Braxman. I'm going to be adding a lot of content on YouTube. Aside from the fact that I'm doing live broadcasts here, I'm going to be doing a lot of extra content and adding it to YouTube on very precise topics. So there's a quick reference that you can send to your friends and let them learn about what I'm talking about. Okay, so I will. So please follow me on YouTube if you're not following me. The one thing that I found out about YouTube is that YouTube doesn't actually actively track what you do on YouTube. I found that if I erase my cookies and erase my activity history on activity controls on Google, that it forgets everything I've done. So, for example, if I'm looking at guns, you know me and my, if I'm looking at the guns, and I look for YouTube on guns, in theory, then I'm going to get a lot of YouTube things on guns. Which means somebody can now profile me and say, oh, here's a, somebody who likes guns. Both signed or not signed. So I found it's not actually dangerous because what I do, I've actually left it signed now on YouTube because no matter what I do, and this is partly a test. Well, it's a 1911. It's always current. Don't you know about 1911 safety? The proper way to carry a 1911 is, you know, cocked and just deal with the safety. So then you can do safety and then shoot. Of course, this is not real. So it's not going to hurt you. Not going to hurt you. So don't worry about that. I'm not going to shoot anyone. I can't kill anyone with that because it's not real. Yes, Zuck. Do a shooting vid on YouTube. Anyway, it's my prop. I don't even have a real gun. Maybe I don't have a real gun. Anyway, I'm going to be doing this on YouTube, so you get a quicker understanding of what are the things I'm trying to say. Because one of the things I've been trying to tell people is that you need a VPN. I myself have a VPN product. It's called bytesvpn.com. Can somebody type bytesvpn.com? One of the many people who are subscribers to my VPN, because I know many of you are here. So bytesvpn.com is my product, and what's different about my VPN? It has a Tor option. So if you want to go to Tor, it's one of the easiest ways to use Tor on mobile, because you can do it from anywhere. Otherwise, you need a Tor router, Wi-Fi Tor router. So, a lot more procedures, and you can only do it at home. So when you have a Bytes VPN, you can switch to the Tor routed server, and it will route everything you do to Tor. So you will come out only out of a Tor exit node. Again, one of the topics that we'll talk about again repeatedly, because I'm just trying to equip you with some of this. It's funny, I repeat this, and yet, it just doesn't get across that this location thing, this is very deadly stuff, and I am very uncomfortable with not having the ability to hide that with a VPN. I am so scared. Every time my VPN is off, I think to myself, what did they get? What information did they take from me? You don't always have to use Tor. You use Tor when you want to be extra sneaky. Otherwise, you just use the normal VPN. The normal VPN is very, very high speed. You can get as much as 150 megabits on high speed. Okay, so you can get a pretty faster than your Wi-Fi. Hello, Zuck. Did you figure out the multicast settings? So contact me so we can figure it out with you. I saw you put the settings in correctly on the on Brax. I saw that the multicast settings are correct on Brax. Okay, so now then I saw your broadcast test, and you have the wrong thing under streaming key. Hello, Tim Bear. So your OBS setting is wrong. So we gotta go change that. You can cut and paste, some of the, take a picture of some of your streaming screen, because the only two things you gotta check really is your setting under stream on OBS or Streamlabs. That's all you need to show me. What are you putting in there? The stream name and then a stream key. Anybody want to buy my last year formerly Rob approved? By the way, guys, if you are on PIA right now because of me, and a lot of you are, and a lot of you are still renewing your PIA, I know that you're renewing your PIAs because I still get referral fees from your renewing your PIA. I get a little bit of money every time you sign up to PIA. I don't want you to use PIA. PIA is now blocking emails, and so there's many instances where you have to turn off PIA, and that now exposes you. The less opportunities for you to turn off your VPN, the safer you are. Hello, Van. So if you are on PIA, end your subscription now. If you don't, they will auto renew. End your subscription. They're not going to shut off your PIA, but they will stop auto renewing. So you must end your subscription now. Okay, let me repeat that again. If you're on PIA because I told you so last year, end your subscription on PIA. It will not stop your PIA service at all. It will not stop your service. The service will go on till the expiration, but they will not auto-renew. A lot of you are being tricked into auto-renewing. Then you got to fight them through the credit card company. Okay? You got to fight. Please support me. I do what I do here. I spend all my time for your protection. Please support me, and one of the ways you support me is to do something for your own good, which is to use my product, which is Bytes VPN. Bytes VPN is better than PIA for many reasons. One of them is I don't block things like email. I don't get a lot of captcha codes and all that because people don't know it's a VPN. By having something that's not so public, you see, the more people use a particular server, they can actually track that it's a VPN. There are not that many users of my VPN per server, so it's not that obvious. It's not that obvious. So some may track it, but it's a small number. Most people can't track as a VPN. Okay. Number two, it's the only VPN that has Tor. So it's basically like getting two products. You're getting a standard VPN like a PIA, and then on top of that, you get a VPN with Tor. So anytime you want to go say, I want to know how to make a nuclear bomb, then you can go out there in your hotel room and say, okay, let me turn on my VPN so I don't see black Tahoes outside when I say I want to make I want to make a nuclear bomb, or I want to research something about Trump, or I want to research something about deep state. These are things that might trigger some profiling, some other activity that may make you uncomfortable. And for me, those are moments I turn on the VPN. Okay, so please know that's one of the options. Now, thirdly, because I don't block email, if I prevent if a VPN has to be turned off because the email is going to be blocked. So then I have to turn the VPN off to send an email. Why am I using a VPN for? Because one of the worst things that you can unprotect, that you need to protect, the most important things to protect is your email, because your IP address is on the email. It's 6 licenses, for $89 a year for Bytes VPN with Tor. Bytes VPN standard with Tor in it. That's $89 a year. That's for 6 devices simultaneously. Basically, your entire household. All of your devices. You can load Bytes VPN on all of your devices. No, it's a total bargain. You're getting 2 products. I sell the Tor router by itself for $149, $159. That's a Tor router by itself. You're getting that included in the VPN. I actually built this to make it easier so you don't have to install anything. If you have Tor already, you can still use Tor. Now, the Tor router is still the safest way. The Tor router is the safest because it's end-to-end. However, the problem with the Tor router, even though it is the safest, it's not convenient when you're not home. So the Tor VPN gives you the option to use a VPN when you're not home. What if the person signing up is on the most wanted list? Then don't sign up if you're on the most wanted list. Does our Tor need updating? Not at the moment. Not at the moment. I don't have any reason to have you update your Tor software. Yeah, Kelp says that we need to be open. We can't be secure because he says it doesn't matter that we get tracked by all these companies that track our locations because law enforcement needs access. Law enforcement needs access, so therefore we need to allow every single zucking company in the world and every single person and individual to track our locations at all times. That's what Kelp believes in. Reverse and forward proxy. Break it down for Ryan. Zuck. No one can hide from the long arm of the law. Well, does that include every single company and every single person? Are they part of the law? I care about a little balance. We allow no knock warrants, so we can't see a tad. So we allow no knock warrants, so we can't see. Kelp, there's already a lot of access, so it's not like there's no way to get the access if law enforcement wants the access. They already, yes, Donzo, they already have that access. So the problem is access that removes our Fourth Amendment rights. I'm actually quite supportive of law enforcement. If you find a case where law enforcement gets involved with some issue that gets into the press, I am not the one to quickly blame law enforcement. I don't. I mean, law enforcement protects us every day. I believe that. However, the kind of surveillance I'm talking about is not what the police do. The police don't do mass surveillance. I've never seen a police say we do mass surveillance on you. That's not what the police do. Okay, the people doing the surveillance is the National Zucking Agency. That is not law enforcement. The National Zucking Agency is not law enforcement. Okay, so if we're gonna draw a line here, I'm gonna say, no one controls the National Zucking Agency. I mean, does Trump even control the National Zucking Agency? I wonder. I think it operates by itself. Okay, you think they aren't serving law? No, I don't think so, Kelp. No, they're serving some other purpose. No. Zuck thinks he's law enforcement. By the way, that just to make a side comment here about Zuck. Let me just make a Zucking comment here about Zuck. So apparently, the New York Times is getting into pushing the anti-Zuck mentality now. The New York Times is siding with me. It's like, Zuck. It's like winning. Hashtag winning. I need to put hashtag winning on my broadcast now. The New York Times is, the article that I just told you about the city of Los Angeles suing the Weather Channel is from the New York Times. I believe the original article that says that the investment company that discovered all the information about Tesla, I believe that may have been also be New York Times or Bloomberg. I can't remember. So it's like it really, really bothers me that it doesn't bother me. It's heartening to know that these publications are starting to think the way I do. They're starting to actually have doubt about Zuck. Let me just tell you something else. Zuck himself has said that he doesn't believe in privacy. He doesn't really believe we have a right to it. So that's why he persists in collecting our data. That's why this Facebook portal, I wonder how many Facebook portals were sold over Christmas. I just wonder. Okay? Because he just doesn't get it. So he's starting to push more and more surveillance on the home. So now he's going to sell you a camera that goes searching around for you. It's a camera on steroids. It's Amazon Echo on steroids because it can find you in the Zucking house. Okay, Google starting to realize this. So Google's starting to build things like delete your activity history, delete your put activity controls, and pause this and pause that. They're actually starting to pull back because they know they will be regulated if they don't. Apparently, EJ, New York Times doesn't love Zuckbook anymore. So Zuck's view is totally zucked up because he's the only one like this. Only Facebook is an app that is just so focused on stealing your Zucking data. There's no app this bad. There's no app. Yes, Mario. There is no app as bad as Facebook. I'm telling you. This is why all the doxing and everything that can be done to you. That's the number one target is number one target is Zuckbook because a $20 wise scam. I don't know what is a wise scam. So I think that. I did not think that I could ever win against Zuck. I never thought I could win against Zuck. There's a few holdouts, though. My relatives are one of them. They just love Zuckbook. My family loves Zuckbook, so I'm like consider the black sheep of the family with my views on Zuckbook. I'm the black sheep. My family is supposed to stay with me this weekend. So I'm waiting my sister, my Zuckbook loving sister, and she's late. So I'm glad because if she came in early and came in, then she would be hearing my Zuckbook talk. Okay? So fortunately, she's not going to hear me talk about Zuckbook tonight. Maybe she'll hear about it tomorrow. Great for catching them posting their latest conquests. What the Zuck are you talking about, Kelp? What the Zuck are you talking about, Kelp? What are you up to again, Kelp? Anyway, I'm going again to renew what I was saying here. I'm going to be making some videos on YouTube, shorter ones, and I'm going to post it on YouTube. So to kind of like make the message a little bit shorter and more direct on some of these topics that we're talking about, and kind of a video version of whatthezuck.net. Okay, so my intent is, all the stuff that I put on whatthezuck.net, I want to make sure that's available on video because YouTube is the biggest search engine. Will you no longer be doing these live ones? What are you talking about? No change, Kelp. No change. Just follow me on YouTube so you have access to the videos. I will always be here doing what I do here on Periscope. Kelp doesn't. Yep. So, yes, Donzo, I got it. Yeah, secret messages on Brax.me. So if you're not on Brax.me, you don't get to see the secret messages. Short vids we can share with friends per topic. Yeah, because if you save a short vid, then you can actually pass it around and maybe get the point across a little bit faster. One of the things I want to pass around, kind of a closing thing here for my scopes, and I'm struggling with how to communicate this. My app is called Brax.me. It's a social media app, but Brax.me is a very, very special platform. In fact, I'm multicasting using Brax.me. Brax.me is more than just a social media platform. It's actually, I've changed the website a little bit to reflect this. Brax.me is a community building toolkit. If you are a broadcaster, somebody that needs to build a community, Brax.me has all of the features to build a community, including multicasting on different platforms, blogging space, creating a private app, creating a private group, having websites, having a store to sell directly, all of that built in, all for a very, very inexpensive price, where you can manage your own all social media from getting in the users to monetizing all in a simple app using the Braxme feature called Social Vision. I'm gonna have to make this is one of the videos I'm gonna make in 2019 here. And we need to spread the word about what Braxme does, because it's really more than what it seems. Braxme is really built for building communities. I myself have built a community on Braxme. I have you know, over 7,000 users on Brax.me that came from Periscope. Not counting anything else, just people from Periscope. That went into Brax.me just from my doing Periscope. There's over 7,000 people on Brax.me that came for that. So I built a platform for them to come in and have a way to talk to me and socialize. I also have a store where I'll sell Bytes VPN and other products on there, or hats, or guns and ammo and things like that. Yeah. So if you know how it works, you may want to tell some of your friends who are broadcasters, you know, how they can start off with something like multicasting, which is what I do here. Multicasting on YouTube and Twitch to get additional viewers, and also it gives you the ability to give you viewers for YouTube, because when they watch on Brax.me, they're actually being counted as viewers on YouTube. So you're actually getting credit on YouTube for people who watch on Brax.me. So I'm gonna be there's a lot of this that I want to focus on in 2019, and there's so much, and I not getting across because maybe there's too much of this. So again, Brax.me is for building communities. So if you have a group that you want to build up or have built up and want to have all the tools for communicating with your following, including setting up a store, we got all of those tools, and I'm using it. I'm using it right now. So everything that you buy, even the VPN, everything is being done through Brax.me. Okay? So thank you for watching tonight. I will building communities. Yes, it's as I call it, a community building toolkit. Sorry, tired and starting to fall asleep. We'll talk to you on Brax. Okay, Deanna, I will talk to you on Brax, and follow me on YouTube. My Twitter, by the way, is RobMusic0. So follow me on Twitter as well. Can I sell drugs on Brax? If you're a doctor and you are selling drugs that are authorized with a prescription, you want to open a pharmacy online? Yeah, you could do that. Otherwise, no. If you're thinking that Brax is for the dark web, no. I'm following you. Yes, Mystic Deanna, I'm following you as well. Yeah, I watched your videos on YouTube. So anyway, great to have you guys. And before my relatives show up, I better sign off before they walk in the door, and then hear me talk about Zucking Zuck book. Right? What is strange though is I did not hear anyone, or I did not see many comments from YouTube. I did not see. Love the penthouse background. I'm getting one. You're getting a penthouse. Yes. Good luck with Zuck book loving sister. Anyway, good night, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.